What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Tuesday, May 20th here. Bitcoin, the markets are still consolidating. It is still deciding on what the next move is. And this next move is going to be huge because I've talked about it yesterday. And we are still in a bearish pattern with sell signals for Bitcoin. And of course, that's the driver of the altcoin markets, of the crypto markets. That's why I should be paying attention to Bitcoin first. Now, we are also going to be talking about altcoins later in this video, so make sure to be sticking around for that. Mainly, we're going to be talking about NEIRO, of course, and see if it could actually stage a comeback here for this coin, because it has had some significant downside in the past year. We're going to be taking a look into what it could be doing sometime soon. Also going to be talking about ONYXCOIN, see what has gone on in this market since the last couple of days. And we're going to be talking about Polkadot, see what it could be doing in the very short term. And of course, with the price targets we've talked about just recently as well. Now, if you guys are new to this channel, you guys should know that I dive deep into the charts every day to find the moves before they actually happen, because that is a lot lower risk than chasing a pump on the day of, right? If you guys actually chase the pump on the day of, tell me how that worked out. I'm sure it has been stressful. I have been there, just waiting to squeeze every percentage gain out of that pump. But, chances are it's going to be going down for a major dip. And we're going to be using technical analysis and charts to look for moves in this market. So if you guys do want to learn technical analysis and see this market a lot more clearly for yourselves, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. I will get you guys up to speed. And of course, if you guys have any technical analysis requests for any altcoins, any coins in the market, drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I would pick a request to do every day for you guys on this video. Let's get right into it. We have Bitcoin right now, very important. Not down by much, but we are in a bearish channel or rising wedge, okay? And this could be seen on the daily time frame. We've talked about this yesterday. Okay, we still have a higher low, however, which is still bullish, right? We have a higher low as of yesterday's daily candle close at about 105.5. Okay, if you lose this higher low, then we could be seeing a breakdown of this rising wedge. Okay, and the breakdown of this rising wedge, if it breaks down by this point, that's going to take Bitcoin with the price target down to about 98K. Okay, that is still a pretty steep drop. We saw a drop Sunday night, Monday morning here Pacific Standard Time, and that dragged a lot of the altcoins down. So if you're a bull in this market right now, you definitely do not want to see this drop. Well, unless you want to load up on some more altcoins or coins in general. But right now, it's looking a lot, at least to me, a lot closer to a breakout of that 110K all-time high, previous all-time high. I'd rather see that right now instead, of course. Because we've just been consolidating in this pattern for this entire year, and it's been, mostly boring to watch, really. Even though I am trading leverage, even though I am, buying the dips, taking profits at resistance, I still want to see some major price action here, and I'm sure you guys do too, if you're a bull. So if we keep this higher low here on this daily time frame, then the next logical move, it's a higher high. And that would imply that we are going to break out of this rising wedge. I've seen it happen, okay? Even though the odds are in favor of a breakdown, there's still a small chance it does break to the upside, especially if the bulls are going very strong, right? Let's take a look into the weekly time frame, also very important, right? Because as of last week's weekly candle close, we did get the highest weekly candle close in the entirety of Bitcoin history, okay? But you cannot ignore this, right? We do have some sell signals on this weekly time frame, and that usually spells a pullback. Okay, could this be the week we see a red candle, right? And what I'm talking about is a higher high on the price action chart comparing to these previous two highs here, right? But we have a lower high on the RSI. Okay, so something to be keeping in mind of, because that is still a sell signal and it usually indicates a pullback. If it pulls back and we break down from that rising wedge, next likely support is going to be about 101 right now, because that's the daily 21 SMA, and that's going to be coming up to the price action. I expect that to be pretty strong support, but that is just my opinion and my speculations. None of what I'm saying here is financial advice, okay? Daily 21 SMA, very important, very likely support if the price action breaks down, currently at about 101K. If it doesn't, then we're gonna be taking a look. We're gonna be coming back to the charts here, unless it just drops down really fast. Then it could potentially go back down to 98K. Okay. All right. Let's go over to total 3. These charts are gonna follow Bitcoin very closely. So if we know Bitcoin, then I expect Ethereum, I expect Total 3 to follow along. Okay, right now, it is still consolidating at about that daily 200 SMA. Very important signal, okay, for any market. Price target out of this huge falling wedge pattern, as you guys will see, very commonly if you guys just start charting, okay, which would be about 1.1 trillion here, price target. Still, in my opinion, going towards that. And if Bitcoin can hold above its daily 200 SMA, I don't see why not the altcoins. Let's go over here to ES1 exclamation mark. Sorry, let's come back to Bitcoin real quick. One more thing is the hourly time frame. Okay, very important to be paying attention to the hourly time frame right now, because this would give us some type of a hint on if this rising wedge will break down. Okay, right now I am still seeing a small bullish pattern in the rising wedge. Okay, falling wedge within this rising wedge pattern. That's what I do, okay? If I want to get a hint on where the price action is going, inside the bigger chart, I would chart on the smaller time frame to see if I can get any clues, right? That could be very useful. Um, falling wedge, okay? Price target out of this falling wedge, gonna be about 106, 106.2 here. Small target, 106.3, okay? So let's see if this would actually take Bitcoin to a possible breakout above 110. If we actually break up out of this rising wedge, very good sign. Very similar chart, ES1 exclamation mark, S&P 500. If this actually breaks down, right, because this is usually a front-running signal for Bitcoin, then probably more likely Bitcoin is going to be breaking down as well. All right, let's take a look into some altcoins and see what we are looking at. Let's take a look into NEIRO. I have traded this coin before, not currently in this coin, but I am open to trading this coin again if I see some opportunities and if I have some dry powder available at the time. Let's see here. So let's take a look into the monthly time frame. Very important. we don't have a monthly RSI reading, but I usually like to look for altcoins that don't have a monthly RSI reading in the overbought territory. If you guys actually take a look into altcoins with monthly RSI readings in overbought territory, especially back in 2021, just let me know what has happened in the price action, following that, right? How long does the altcoin have a monthly RSI reading and how long does it stay up there for? And what happens afterwards? So this is why, first things first, and in the upcoming bull cycle, I will be constantly monitoring that as well. Weekly time frame. Time frame. NEIRO has actually broke above its moving average. Weekly 21 SMA, very important moving average. Okay. It could be going back down to retest it. That is not uncommon to see when there's a breakout, and and so you claim a resistance level. It's common to see that price action comes back down to retest that resistance that is now support. Okay, I usually like entering on higher lows, on double bottoms. Those are lower risk plays, right? Rather than entering on higher highs. Okay, it's not 100% that I won't, but it's just a lot lower risk, and I generally don't. All right, let's take a look into the daily time frame. So, excuse me, 1 second. On this weekly time frame, we see a falling wedge, right? That's an extensive downtrend, and we don't have 3 perfect candle touches on this bottom trend line, but I think it's close enough. Actually broke out here quite some time ago out of this downtrend. Now the price target is going to be about 0.17 cents price target. Okay, now price targets are estimates only. It could be more or less. What happens if the price action, if this coin actually breaks and goes to its price target? What I would usually do is, if it consolidates at that price target that it reaches, I would look for a pattern to chart to see if I can get any idea on if it will be going up from there or would it be breaking down from there, right? That's how I would know if the price action would keep going up or would it take a pullback. Daily time frame. Daily time frame, very important. This is we see bearish divergence on this daily time frame here. We've got a higher low, a higher high, but a lower high on the RSI. And we're seeing that pullback right now. Let's see if this could actually be some type of a symmetrical triangle pattern that it could be forming. I think this is a, let's see here. Probably need to adjust this on a smaller time frame because this does it looks a little lopsided to me. Right? So let's do a live pattern charting here. Okay, 4-hour time frame. This is not as common as the falling wedge. All right, 4-hour time frame. I don't see a support at the bottom trend line where I can probably, more confidently put the bottom trend line on there. So I think this will look more like a symmetrical triangle pattern. It has not formed completely. Just know that. This is my estimate. So this is what you could be looking at. 6-hour time frame. I usually like to have the bottom trend line, if it's not completely established, I would usually like to look for a possible support to form my bottom trend line, and in this case, it's gonna be the 6-hour 50 SMA. So let's see if this is what it could potentially form, right? So yeah, this is basically what I'm looking at for NEIRO. Weekly time frame, price target, smaller time frame, looking for that bottom trend line to establish a possible symmetrical triangle pattern, which would be usually bullish in that case, but it is not developed yet. All right, that's what I'm looking at for NEIRO. Let's take a look at ONYX Coin, see what has gone on in this market since the last time we talked about it. Okay, so we had a falling wedge on the daily charts, right? Falling wedge, if you want to take a measure move out of the pattern, it looks like it has actually broke out of this pattern, retested that upper trend line pretty perfectly from this daily time frame. As you guys can see, broke out of it and still staying above that top trend line. That tells me that other traders are seeing this breakout as well, and that validates this pattern. And the price target for Onyx Coin out of the smaller pattern here, it's going to be about 3 cents price target. Okay, and it is above that pattern here, just, at that top trend line, just hanging out, right? Let's take a look into a smaller time frame, 4-hour. Okay, so still some type of a falling wedge here, right? Smaller pattern. So this is very common pattern. One of the most common that you guys should be seeing. This would give you about let's just say if it breaks out by this point right here, that will give you a price target of just about 2.1 cents. Small move, but it's a smaller time frame. Let's go to Polkadot, see what has gone on in this market. We've talked about Polkadot, and it has been running with, it has been dumped on quite significantly. Falling wedge again. Okay, but this time, this one's interesting because we have a double bottom inside a falling wedge as well, right? On the monthly time frame with bullish divergence. That's basically if you have a equal or in this case on the monthly time frame, no. But still pay attention to that monthly RSI as well. Weekly time frame, okay. Weekly time frame, you have bullish divergence playing out right now, where you have an equal or lower low on the price charts, but you have a equal or higher low on the RSI. Playing out, it is basically at the weekly 21 SMA as resistance, okay. When moving averages are above the price action, it is resistance. When it is below it, it is support. Let's see here. Falling wedge inside this bigger falling wedge. Okay, price action is going to give you about $10 Polkadot. This is weekly time frame. It could take some time to play out. If it actually breaks out of this bigger pattern here, which it usually breaks to the upside, you can't discount the downside odds as well. But if it breaks to the upside, that will give you about a price target of $19.50 Polkadot. This is basically what I'm seeing for today for these markets. Let me know if you guys have any requests to see any potential altcoins. Like, subscribe, and comments. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of the day.